I found out my company has been paying a ghost employee for 6 years. When HR tracked the paychecks, they all went to the CEO's address. I've been a senior auditor for 11 years. My job is simple. Follow the numbers. Numbers don't have feelings. They either add up or they don't. In January, they didn't. Routine payroll reconciliation. I flagged an anomaly. An employee named David Miller, data analyst. Salary, $75,000. Hire date, 6 years ago. Direct deposit active every 2 weeks. $450,000 paid out total. Except David Miller had no company email, no login history, no badge access, no manager, no performance reviews. He existed on paper and nowhere else. Ghost employee. Classic fraud signature. I traced the direct deposit. It went to a personal checking account registered to our CEO's home address. Richard Ames. I built the case file and brought it to the board on a Thursday afternoon. They hauled Richard in. I expected a lawyer. I expected denial. Richard sat down, looked at the report, looked at the board, then looked at the floor. That's my son, he said. His name is David. He's 31. He has severe agoraphobia and clinical depression. He hasn't left his bedroom in 8 years. 8 years ago, David had a breakdown during graduate school. Panic attacks so severe he couldn't walk to the mailbox. He moved home. Therapy helped marginally. Medication kept him stable, but not functional. He stopped leaving the house entirely. After 2 years of watching his son disappear, Richard created the ghost position. Not for greed, for health insurance. David needed medication and psychiatric care that cost more than Richard could cover without raising flags. A salaried position with benefits solved that, but it became something more. Every Monday, Richard walked into David's room with a folder. Real company data, scrubbed of anything confidential. He told David it was critical work. David would spend the week building spreadsheets, visualizations, and reports. He'd email them to a dummy address Richard set up. Richard would reply with feedback, sometimes revisions, sometimes excellent work, sending to the executive team. None of it went anywhere. Every file went into a folder Richard never opened twice. But David put on a collared shirt every Monday, set an alarm, had deadlines, had purpose. For 6 years, he believed he was a real analyst, and it was the only thing keeping him from giving up. The board didn't deliberate long. Corporate law doesn't have a column for heartbreak. $450,000 in unauthorized salary is embezzlement. Richard was forced to resign and repay every dollar. He didn't fight it. On his way out, he stopped at my desk. You did your job. I don't blame you. But my son put on a tie every Monday for 6 years because he believed he mattered. Tomorrow, I have to tell him he's fired from a job that never existed. He left. I sat there for a long time. The numbers were right. The law was right. And I hated every part of it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I emailed Richard and asked for the files David had produced. He sent everything within the hour. I expected amateur spreadsheets. Filler. What I found was exceptional. Clean data architecture, advanced visualization, trend analysis that was genuinely insightful. David wasn't pretending to be an analyst. He was one. He just didn't know his reports were going into a trash folder instead of an executive meeting. I compiled his best work into an anonymous portfolio and sent it to 3 tech companies hiring fully remote data analysts. No office, no commute, no leaving the house. 1 week later, Richard called me. He got an offer. He said his voice was different. A real one. Full salary, full benefits, fully remote. He called me sobbing. He said, "Dad, I got a new job. A real one. Someone saw my work and they wanted me." Richard paused. I told him, "I'm proud of you." And I meant it in a way he will never understand. David works at a real company now. He still hasn't left his bedroom, but every Monday he puts on a collared shirt and builds something brilliant for people who actually see it. He doesn't know how he got the job. He thinks someone found his portfolio online. He thinks he earned it on his own. He did. He just doesn't know he earned it twice. Richard, the disgraced CEO who lost his career, his reputation, and $450,000, told me he'd do it all again. Every dollar, every lie, every Monday morning folder. He put on a tie, Richard said. For 6 years, my son put on a tie. That was worth more than any job I'll ever have.